And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. The Tahltan First Nation views the sacred headwaters as the physical and spiritual center of their way of life. It is a site of traditional activities where elders instructed children about hunting and trapping. On today's Open Connection, in addition to snippets of the documentary film, we'll hear from the filmmaker and the elected chief of the Iskut Band Council. We begin with documentary filmmaker Tamo Campus.
I definitely came up here with no intention of making a documentary. I think it was the summer of 2013, and a bunch of friends, we were all driving up the 37 Cassiar Highway, and we had plans to head up to the Yukon, and we stopped in at the Iskut Gas Bar. And there was a sign that said Sacred Headwaters Music Fest. And one of the people inside the gas bar, Ace, was like, you guys should check it out. And, we're a couple hippies in a bus. We're probably going to check out a music fest. And a couple of days later of just hanging out in this beautiful valley where Iskut Village is and meeting the people and listening to country music, which I wasn't into at the time, but I've learned to love it from being here for so long. Near the end of that day, a few people came up and said, hey, look, our elders are trying to stop a coal mine in the headwaters of the Skeena, way out in the Klabona in this mountain that's called Klabona. We know you guys have cameras and wondering if you could come for a day or two. Well, that day or two turned into 7.5 weeks being up in the Klabona, having our minds absolutely blown by this group of elders and their families that had been fighting for that area for long before we came here. And we supported that summer by just uploading video clips to the news to try to get attention to what was happening as we saw these families just pretty much sacrifice their summer to protect an area that is really the birth of the entire Skeena and Nass Stikine watersheds. And over 7.5 weeks on a blockade, eating moose meat and caribou meat and seeing these elders go toe to toe with this coal mining company and the RCMP, you develop some pretty strong friendships. And I knew I'd just keep coming back, and I've been coming back every year and started working with the youth. I think it was around like 2016. A lot of folks were mentioning that we were always telling kind of like shorter versions because we were just uploading clips for the media, but that we had shot so much footage here with the elders that it was probably important to tell a larger story. And we were honored by that request, but also felt like it had to be a collaborative approach because obviously this fight started before we had come to the community. And so me and my best friend Jasper decided to take it on, but only if we could do it as a gift for the community. And we thought it was going to take one winter to finish the film. And 7 years later, here we are launching the film in Iskut. And I think that time was so important because it allowed for folks to really share what are the stories that are important that need to be in this film, who are all the folks involved, and also to really craft it in a way that I think really uplifted and tells the story of all the different families and communities that fought for the sacred headwaters. I think it was just absolutely inspiring to see these families go toe to toe, and also just to realize like it's a complex issue up here as well. You know, there is a lot of mining, there is a long relationship with mining and the Tahltan, but there also are sacred areas where there just should never be mines and should be kept the way they are. And it kind of reflects my own like heritage and family, you know, like my dad worked for many extractive industries, including mining. Like that side of the family is from Chile, which has a long history of copper mining. And so there's always those complexities, which is actually captured in the film as well, and how it's not a simple narrative. You know, a lot of these elders that stood up, sometimes they were stopping their own grandkids from going to work. And I think that's part of just that sacrifice, and also just how hard it is to stand up in small towns. And that's really where we saw like how heroic this decade-long fight was for the folks within it. And that's why it felt really important to support the telling of the story.
Klabona, Kla is headwater. Bona is that open country. See, a long time ago, our grandpa says, that's all they live on, so wild meat kid. When we go on beaver hunt up to sport season, my mom used to make me 12 pair of moccasins.
Our culture and our language, it's who we are. Without our culture and our language, we're lost.
This land in here is given to us by the Creator. He put us here to be teachers of this land.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
What is that? What is in that trailer that's going in?
Work here?
Do you understand what's going on here?
Yes.
And so that's work, stays out. You guys could go in tomorrow morning when you guys walk through this line, one-way ticket. You get on the chopper and you get out of Klabona.
Sorry, but I take my orders from my boss.
This is our land.
We are your boss. You're on our territory.
Will you stop drilling?
We got our work to do. I'm saying they can have their.
We've got our work to do too.
Yes, our little ones. That's our job. This is our territory.
Thank you for staying with us. Since 2005, the Klabona keepers, a group of Tahltan elders, have watched the road leading through Tahltan territory towards the sacred headwaters in Klabona Valley in opposition to development there, specifically a coal bed methane mining project planned by Royal Dutch Shell. Let us return to the conversation with documentary filmmaker Temo Campos. Was it really hard to shoot the beauty that's up there in the Klabona?
No, the land is beautiful enough, and you can never capture it up here. Like, the land is breathtaking. It's the real wealth of this place, is the abundance, the beauty, the animals, the fresh water. You know, there's places around the world that are struggling to have fresh water, and here we have these huge bodies of water, and they really are sacred. And also just really grateful for all the folks that kind of contributed to this, other filmmakers, folks like Michael Borquin, Nick DePensier, Nettie Wild, like all these people who had shot in this area that understood this story and why it was important to tell, and who donated their footage to make it happen. And so, yeah, it was helpful to have those talented filmmakers give their footage to this film.
What has been the reaction of the youth to this film?
Yeah, well, we had an amazing world premiere last, I guess it was Wednesday. And, you know, so much when I was editing the film, you just hear it over and over again. We're doing this for our grandkids. We're doing this for our grandkids, the next generation. And so how do you embody that when you're actually structuring these screenings? And for us, that meant making this a really kid-friendly screening, having a popcorn machine, having Polaroid camera, and just like, it was just, you know how the halls can get pretty hectic with the loud sound of kids, but I couldn't imagine a better sound and for that screening, because it was so important that the kids see it, and just the words they shared after were beautiful.
What's the next step after the screening that's going to be coming up here on the 14th?
So we have a screening tomorrow night where we had to make a little bit of a pivot with the timing, because all it's a hockey town too, and folks were like, hey, what's going on? The screening's at the same time as a Game 7. And so we're gonna do the screening a little earlier at 2 p.m. And then we're gonna actually keep the whole projector set up in the gym and be screening the hockey games. So it's gonna be quite the hockey night in Iskut event. And yeah, then after that, we're gonna be traveling to the Human Rights Watch Festival, which is in Toronto, with 14 community members, where they'll be screening the film at that festival. And then after that, we're pretty open. We want to make this film as accessible to communities that want to host it in their community, because one of the real goals that kept coming up when we were talking about this film was to inspire other communities that there is light at the end of the tunnel, as Rhoda Kwok says, one of the producers. And so, yeah, please just like reach out if you want to see this film, if your community wants to host it, and we can support that. And like I mentioned earlier, this film really is a gift to the community. Like all proceeds from this film are going to be going to supporting programming, youth programming in the Klabona Sacred Headwaters area.
Is there a website that people can go to kind of see trailers? And if they wanted to purchase a screening, they could do that?
Yeah, for sure. It's just klabonakeepers.com. So you get most of the information there, and you can contact us on that page too if you want to organize a screening.
And anything I might have missed that you'd like to add?
It was such an honor and a privilege to work on this story. And I think that it's impossible to sum up the influence that this community has had on my life. And it really does feel like coming to a second home when I drive up that 37. So in many ways, like this story is the Klabona Keeper family's fight for the headwaters, but it's also a love letter from me to the community.
I explained there was going to be a mine site there if we don't do anything about it. If nobody says anything about it. And I looked at him and I said, "What do you want me to do?" My 10-year-old son turned around to me and he looked at me and he said, "I want you to fight. There's just no other way. Now I have to fight and stand there, and they're not going to win."
We know where we come from, we know where we stand, and we'll fight till our last breath.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
After I stopped him and had the road blocked, and she phoned up a bunch of people, and then a bunch of people came down, and it was on.
We are gathered here today to save the sacred headwaters, to be untouched. Be with us today. Protect us. To show these people, with all their greed, that we're here for the land and for our great-grandchildren.
And we ain't going to give up on this. We know who we are, we know where we come from, and we know the land and water sustained us, and we're going to fight for it.
Welcome back to Open Connection. When Klabona Keeper member Lillian Moyer was arrested at Kaplan Blockade, she stated, "I'm being arrested today for the people of Iskut, for the people of Telegraph Creek, and especially for our grandchildren. This is from my heart. I believe my ancestors are speaking through me." Let us return to the conversation with Iskut Band Council Chief Marie Kwok.
It brought back a lot of memories of the fight for Klapan, a lot of good memories, thought a lot about the tensions, and it was just everything. And it's great. Like this, I would totally recommend this film for anyone who can see it, go see it. And it's, it was really touching, because a lot of our elders on there have passed to the other side. So seeing them on there, and it was like really, really touching and heartwarming. I just can't say enough. And pride. I was so proud, so proud of our elders and all the other people who got arrested, the people who were fighting. I'm just so proud.
Were you on those front lines during that initial arrest?
Yes, I was. I wasn't the chief at the time. I was on council. But the chief and council were asked to be there, so we all were there to be there in support. And that was really harsh. Like that was a really hard time. I think that was probably one of the worst times, was that day.
How did your heart feel when you first saw the film on the screen there in Iskut?
I was really touched. I was so proud of our elders, and the fact that we still have some of them here, and they were able to see themselves on there and to see what they've done. Like, it just shows how it was immense. Like to see. I don't know if they even realized what they did when they did that. And and seeing Rhoda and her family on there, and Caden, he was just a little boy and now he's graduating, great hockey player, and it's so amazing. And a lot of the ones that, like the kids, they were little kids there and now they're grown up. So amazing. And they still have the heart for Japan, like they still want to see it protected, and to be protected forever is the goal.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
The documentary film, The Klabona Keepers, is an intimate portrait of the dynamic indigenous community that succeeded in protecting the sacred headwaters known as the Klabona from industrial activities. We begin this final segment of Open Connection with a community response to the film.
It means so much to have everything documented and put out into the world for, public to see. It's in a form now where, multiple generations can look back and see the work that we put into this. And for that sake, I would like to say I thank you and your team, and to the Klabona Keepers that have put in so much to protect our land. So, I do.
Up there in that mountain there where we hunt, where we go get caribou, and where we get groundhog and gophers and medicine and berries, and where we go just to stay there, and like what we did here. My grandparents and them used to come here because it's easy to get game here. We're right here, so it could be straightened out like this.
I am here to protect this mountain and protect this valley. It's very sacred and very spiritual. And I'm going to be doing the Tahltan honor song in honor of this, our land and our people. And also for the next generations coming up, for our kids and their kids, and even for the unborn. Madu. Akayuna, ayuna, heya, tegena.
And all the other people who got arrested for the sacrifices they made for us to keep our land for our future generation. It was a hard battle. I was there a lot of the times, but it also was a time where we all were very close. That was when we had true unity. We were all fighting the same battle. And I often think back to those times when we were fighting one battle together. All of our children have gifts. Our children need to see us coming together like this. They need to see us fighting for something that we love, something that we believe in. So I just really would like to thank everybody again. Thank you, elders. Thanks to our elders who passed. They left knowing that they did a great thing. And I'd also like to thank Camo and his crew for always being there. Shannon McPhail, everyone who is always there for our people. All the other nations who came together with us. They were together with us when the blockades happened. They were also up at Klabona at Beauty Camp when we did the mixing of the waters. And they brought their own water. They brought water from the ocean.
Through Stikine and Skina, and the fish that we depend on survives by. And it really hurts me to see.
Too close to our community.
You guys got no more damn business up than Pictou Creek.
Our drinking water. What do you drink about our drinking water? That's not your drinking.
That's our drinking water. It's going right down to the reserve.
Your property right above our reserve.
We'd just like to thank Camo and his crew. Did an awesome job on the film.
It's the birthplace of the rivers, 3 rivers, the Nass, the Skeena, and the Stikine. So it's the headwaters of the main rivers there. And those rivers is a source of our food, like the salmon, right, for all of our nations.
And I guess we should also be clear that the Tahltan themselves are not against development that's happening in their territory. They just want to be partners in there so they can ensure that future generations can enjoy the resources that are available.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. We do have some projects, like we do have a project that's operating in our territory. And there's other projects, so no, we're not against development, but we just want to see it done right, and that there are areas that are going to be there for our future generation.
And Marie, is there anything I might have missed that you'd like to add?
I just wanted to say that the work for Klabona, to protect Klabona, is still ongoing. We now have the Tahltan central government doing this work as well through the IPCA program. And they've got funds to protect certain areas in the territory, so they're working on that now with us. So I think they're going to start the community engagements this year, this summer or this fall, hopefully, to get our communities involved. So it's a big project, but we're still fighting that fight.
What I'm wondering is your plan to disrupt the drill crew from their work?
No, the drill crew is disrupting us from our life. When they're out here disturbing our lifestyle that we've maintained for 10,000 years on our occupied territory, why aren't you standing here telling them they're wrong?
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.